Okay, go on then.
Okie dokie. Rachel Waring is someone who I admire greatly, and I know Bronya does as well. Rachel really has her shit together and was one of our first guests on the Business of Cake Making podcast back in 2020 when COVID and lockdown had first started. She's been on a massive creative journey with her podcast, The Business Proposal with Ellie. She's got a wedding styling business and a lifelong love affair with the platform Pinterest. She has a course and one-to-one training in producing creative content, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Hello, Rachel. Thank you so much for coming
Hello.
on.
Oh, thank you. That was such a lovely intro. I loved
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks for having me back.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. We always start with an intro. So, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been up to since you last came on the podcast?
Yes. So I can't believe it was that long ago.
know.
It doesn't feel like it, does it?
Yeah.
It's mad, eh?
Crazy. Yeah. What have I been up to? As you said, got some courses. That's probably the main
Yeah.
update. So I now am I call myself a creative consultant now. I'm still sort of working out. I would say I'm in a real like transition phase of my business at the moment where I obviously, as you know, I think I spoke about Pinterest last time when I came on, didn't I?
Yeah.
So I have been doing a lot of Pinterest chatting, but also a lot of other stuff as well. So like you said, creative content, marketing in general, launch marketing, creative direction, that kind of thing. So I'm really sort of like finding my way in my new sort of labels, I guess. And yeah, so that is me full time now. I actually don't do weddings anymore
It's amazing.
because I was loving doing this so much that actually after the P word, I was like, I'm not actually going to pick it up again. It's been a joy working with other small businesses. And actually, as I was doing it, I was like, this is what I'm meant to be doing.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny
that's
when you
me
find
full
that
time.
groove, find that place
Yeah,
that's you, that it's,
totally. Yeah,
so
it just feels right.
yeah. So when we chatted last time, which was I think right at the early stages while we were all of the pandemic, and
Yeah.
we did chat about Pinterest because that was like your main thing and everything, but you, like you say, you do so much more than that now. You are an expert in content creation and content marketing. I've done one of your courses, which was amazing, which hopefully we'll chat about a bit later. So what is content marketing? Can't even say it. What is content marketing, and how can we all use it to increase our brand presence?
Yes. So I feel like content marketing is one of those things where people just hear the word content and they think Instagram. And it's been really interesting for me actually working out what words to use. It's all part of this, creative puzzle of how to describe yourself. And the way that I think about content is basically like all the content that you put out on your whole online presence. So from Instagram's part of it, but also if you have a blog, if you have a podcast, if you have, YouTube, TikTok, basically like anywhere you are putting content on the internet, that is content marketing. And I think so often we get stuck on the hear content and you're like, yes, my Instagram feed.
Yeah. Reels.
And I think
Reels. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And I think actually when you start looking at content marketing in a more holistic way, which is what I really love talking about, with like a cross-platform approach and, a bit more of like an ecosystem, that's when it can start making a massive difference in your business. And it doesn't have to feel like, content with an eye roll, like, oh, I've got to do some content. It doesn't have to zap all of your time.
Yeah.
And I think that when you can have a more multi-platform approach, it is, you have to spend more time on it in a sense, but also it doesn't have to be like using the same amount of time that you use on Instagram and other places.
Yeah.
It actually can make everything feel a little bit more sustainable for you because you're not having to rely on this one place that kind of zaps everything out of your soul.
Yeah.
Sammy loves a bit of social media.
Oh, it's my favourite. Not. many cake makers, and I'm sure other small business owners, see content creating as a thing they have to fit into their day. And you make content creation look fun. You
Oh,
do. How do you do that? And what do you recommend we do to bring some fun into our content creation rather than seeing it as a chore, which I do?
yes. I think part of it is firstly finding the bits that you actually do enjoy doing. And if there isn't any, then I think there's a bit of like experimentation and maybe some, like some skills building to do so that it doesn't have to take so much time and energy,
Yeah.
because we're all starting from scratch, right? When we're not trained necessarily in video content, or like we're not
Yeah,
videographers.
Yeah.
yeah,
So I think sometimes what we sometimes expect of ourselves as business owners is like really, really challenging, and we expect ourselves to just be able to be professional content
Yeah.
creators before we've even learnt it. So I think that's the first. I feel like I've done like 10 points already. The first stage is thinking about the bits that you do enjoy already, and then skills building in the areas that you where maybe you're not enjoying it, and knowing that you don't have to do it all as well. I think what can be a really useful approach to find more fun in it, in the whole process, is knowing that some things you just won't it won't be for you, and it won't be the
Yeah.
best place to spend your time. And
mm,
some things you'll start really enjoying, and you can start leaning into the things that you enjoy more of. And I think when you start with that, you can start adding in more stuff as you go. But I think we leak so much time doing things that aren't really working for us, and that's when the fun gets zapped out of it.
yeah,
Yeah, it is that thing. You spend all that time doing something, and then you actually see the engagement on it. You go, well, why did I bother doing that one
Yeah.
thing? And like you say, if you're more multi-platform, then it could be that one piece of content could get so much more engagement somewhere else, but you're concentrating on that one. It's, I don't know, as humans we always concentrate on the negatives, don't we? Let's face it. It's like,
Yeah.
that's not getting any engagement, that's not getting any likes, and and you just sort of kind of go, right, I give up, I'm not doing it again.
Yes, definitely. And I think that's such a good point about, putting all of our effort into this one thing, and then when it doesn't do well being like, no. And
yeah,
I think one of the things that can ease the pressure on your whole content marketing strategy in general and your content creation is when I create a piece of content, I don't think of that as like one post.
Mhm.
I think of it as one piece of content that is going to get loads of mileage for me. So at the very least, if I do a video, for example, a short form video, so a reel,
Yeah.
basically, if I'm making a reel, it is never just a reel. It is also an idea pin, or it also goes on TikTok.
Yeah.
I'll probably also post it twice as well at some point. I'll also probably use some of the footage of it if it's, something that's like a bit of a compilation of other clips. I'll probably use those clips multiple times in other things, as well as like little mix and match montages. I'll even link to my posts like a reel. If I did a reel and I think, oh, I'd like some more eyes to go on that, I'll put a little link to it at the bottom of my email.
Right.
So
oh, that's a good
it's
idea.
yeah, I just think it's we need to think of our content as like each idea. You just want to squeeze all the juice out of all of your ideas. And I
Mm,
think if you feel like you're on like a constant treadmill of content creation, and it feels like you're just constantly creating and it's not really giving you much back, usually to me that's an indicator of a few things. One of the main ones is that you're not using each idea enough, and you're
Yeah,
not like squeezing the juice out of it enough, because no one ever sees everything you post.
that's true.
We
Yeah.
all know that, but
Yeah.
sometimes we forget.
Yeah, we actually think that everyone is seeing everything we do all the time, so why are they not loving us? Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually put a poll on my stories a few months ago, about I think it was a poll about what percentage of your audience tend to see your stories. And I put some options, and I
Yeah.
had multiple replies in DMs saying, "Do you know what? I've actually never thought about this, but you're
Yeah.
right." They hadn't even thought about the fact that not everyone sees your stories, and
Yeah.
actually it's one of your most engaged audience places, which is
yeah.
why it's great. But it's also one of the smallest percentages of your audience that you can
I think
probably
mine's like
contact.
less than 10% or something like that. If I
Oh, yeah.
something, it's not a lot at all when you look at it.
Yeah. I think mine as and it's almost as your audience grows, the percentage goes down as well. Like mine
Really?
can be anything from 1%
Wow.
to 5%. Like it really, and it depends. Obviously, if I put Sassy the cat on there,
That's
it'll
it.
always
Yeah.
it'll always get some more. But yeah, it really, I think a lot of people, it's really surprising how small that percentage
Yeah.
is, and we sort of, what we can do sometimes, again, and this is the classic thing of like focusing your attention all in one area. If you're spending loads of time posting on stories and you're spending loads of time making them perfect and making them look good, and you're like on there all day, and then it's like, I've been on Instagram all day and nothing's happening, but you don't realize that 10 people are seeing your stories.
Yeah.
It's like
Which would just actually be quicker to phone them all up separately.
yeah.
Right, so video is one of your big things. And actually, I saw the other day you said something like you didn't have any pictures on your camera roll. It was nearly all
Yeah.
videos on something, which I
Yeah.
thought was just hysterical. I thought, yeah, actually, that I can see that. So you do a lot of videos, and it's something that you do very well and you love. A lot of us cake makers, we have spent years and years getting photography right, getting the
Yes.
setup, getting the lighting, getting the background, all that. We've just spent so long doing it. How do we move on from that? Because that's not enough anymore. That's not good enough for us anymore. So how do we adapt from the photos to the videos without suddenly learning a whole new skill set to get this through?
Yes. Yeah, I love that. This is what I'm about to say sounds really, really obvious, but I'm going to say it anyway because I think, again, it's one of these things that we often forget. Video is just a moving photo. Literally spat your tea out.
You know what? Okay.
I know it sounds so obvious and so simple, but I honestly think sometimes, and I totally, like, I know that sounds like a bit cheeky, but like sometimes I think we think of this, we think, oh, it's this whole different
Yeah.
like thing with all this different tech. And yes, there are different things, obviously, I'm being a bit facetious. There are little things that are different. But if you think about like video as just a moving photo, I think what that does is it helps you get out of the mindset of like, oh, I better take a photo, and just like hit the record button instead.
Right.
So there are lots of things that are the same skill set with video as with photos. So the lighting, like composition, styling, all of that stuff. There's like setting up a good video shot is very similar to setting up a good photo shot,
Mm-hmm.
but the difference is that it's moving. Sorry if you can hear Ceci scratching the floor in the background there.
It's
She
usually one
wants
of
to
our
join in.
dogs. It's fine.
She's very passionate about video, just like me. Um, so I think that hopefully maybe makes it a little bit less intimidating.
Yeah.
And I think it's just about, one of my other favorite things to say about video is getting into the practice of documenting, not creating. So rather than setting up yourself for a video and then being like, right, it's time to take a video, and
Yeah,
doing it
that's me. That's
specially.
what I'm like. It's got to be just right. How's the camera? It's has all
Yeah.
set. Is it all clear? So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But if you just get into the habit, and I know it's hard to get into this habit, but just getting into the habit of documenting what you're doing anyway, actually a lot of it just comes with
Yeah.
that practice. And just knowing that actually one of the good things that's come out of the rise of video, especially short form video in the last few years, is that people are actually way more interested in seeing a bit more authenticity. And it doesn't mean that you have to be like, here's my messy desk, or like, but you can do that. It's not like you have to purposefully be inauthentically authentic, if that makes sense. But you
Yeah.
can show up how you are a little bit and show a little bit more about the behind the scenes. And it doesn't have to be as polished, I think,
Yeah.
as I guess like 2016 Instagram, like
Yeah,
that was very much,
and people would actually, they would design their grid and everything, and
yes,
everything had to
exactly.
look right for the top 9 squares, and do you know what? I'm so pleased I don't have to think about that. I do
Yeah.
like every other post in a different color, and it's like, yeah, I feel relieved that I don't have that pressure on me
Yeah,
to
totally.
make my grid lovely. It's like, oh, for heaven's
Yeah.
sake.
The amount of time I used to spend looking at my grid and being like, "Oh, I've got this post to do, but that doesn't go with the one before it or the one under it." Like, "Oh, what a waste of time. It's so boring."
Whereas now it's like a breath of fresh air. It's just that we just
Yeah,
put out what there is. Yeah. So
totally.
I mean, I know what you mean though. So I do a lot of recipes, and I video a lot of the recipes that I do, and I do feel sometimes like it kind of streamlines me in what I'm doing. Whereas before, when I was
Mm,
doing a recipe, I would weigh everything as I was going, but now I have everything to the side, ready to go, and then everything can be made and done really quickly. Because, like you say, it's that documenting thing. But because I don't want to keep starting my camera, because that's just too much of a headache, I have everything organised now, and I feel I feel like
yeah.
it's actually made me work more efficiently because I know there's a camera watching rather
Yes.
than do you know what I mean? It's not
Oh,
that
yeah,
scary anymore.
definitely. It's like when you have a time lapse going and it makes me work quicker as if I'm doing a time lapse, like, I'm like, "Ooh." It's like, "No,
Yeah.
the camera's gonna do
Yeah.
that."
um, so moving on to style and content style, you have your course, Be the Art Director of Your Own Brand, which
Yes,
Bronya has already raved about
I
on the
have.
podcast
I
previously.
have.
Can you outline what content style is and what are the elements we should think about when we're looking at our style?
Yes, this is a fun one. So I love this. I think this is one of my favorite things to chat about. And I think that, again, going back to like what makes content fun and how you can make it more fun, I think if you have a really clear vision and a really clear handle on what your creative content style is, it makes everything else a lot easier, because if you know the key things that make your content you don't have to keep making decisions
Yeah.
every time you create something. If
Mm,
you've got like a set visual style, you've got stuff to work with. So maybe it might be helpful to talk through. I can talk through my visual content style if that
Yeah.
helps.
Yeah.
Um, so an example for me is I have a very colourful brand. That's kind of natural to me. Like I just like a lot of colour. So I my visuals are very colourful and vibrant. So an example of how that comes across in my content is I won't use black and white photos, for example,
mhm.
in my content, or black and white video, just
Right.
because it's not that I don't like them, but it just doesn't work for my style. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's just like a rule that I've got. Um, and there's some other little indicators that I have that are sort of specific to me. So I've got the colourful thing. The other thing that I love is paper. So I've always been really passionate about paper. That's sort of a hangover from my set design and my wedding styling days. And something that I have kind of learned through, doing a lot of is actually I often go back to my own exercises from the Be the Art Director of Your Own Brand course. Like I often go back and do it again, because it's actually just my process that I use.
Yeah.
But I basically sort of looked into the things that inspire me and took little things out of that to create this style that is like recognizably me. And one of those things is the use of paper. So even though as a creative marketing consultant, there's not really, paper doesn't really have that much to do with what I'm
Mm,
doing necessarily, but it is a little visual element that I can bring in. So for example, in my graphics, sometimes I'll have a bit of like torn paper on the edge.
yeah.
I also have, like, occasionally when I have time, I'll do like a paper art animation to illustrate a point. I don't get as much time as I'd like to do that kind of thing because it is time consuming, but that's just the kind of thing that I enjoy doing. And again, it's just like bringing fun into it for me. So yeah, paper is like definitely a little theme I can bring in. And also, this one's harder to explain, but I really like surprising and immersive sort of design elements. So an
Mhm.
example of that is I did a shoot a couple of years ago, which actually is all to do with the visuals of the course. And I've absolutely rinsed those images. Lovely Lisa Jane photography did those. And she must get so bored of me tagging her because I've just used them on repeat for like 3 years.
Oh, it's Rachel again. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, here she is. She's like, "Oh, I rue the day I did that shoot." But I've got sort of part of that shoot is like some pictures of me, but also I had I made some props basically. So I had paper squiggles coming out of
Yeah.
paintbrushes and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's having, if it would have been really hard for me to do that shoot if I didn't already know my visual style.
Yeah.
So I've got, those rules. It's got to be colourful, it's going to have some paper involved, and I like sort of like surprising, playful design elements. And those three things really help guide me, so I'm not starting from scratch every time I do anything. I feel like that was a right old waffle, but
No.
hopefully
No,
it makes sense.
no. I've seen some of those animes with the little
Yeah.
squiggles and stuff like that.
You're talking
Yes.
a lot about bringing fun into it. Is that important to you, that it is fun and it's not a chore?
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. I think it's funny because I often have to remind myself that people don't find this area of business fun, because I really do genuinely enjoy creating content. And it wasn't always like that as well. Like, it's not like I, started in my business and straight away I was like, "Oh, I'm really good at these things and I love it." It's just through practicing it and finding my own way of doing it. And I think when you do find that, I think especially when you're a creative person, I don't see why, once you've got the skills, I don't see why the marketing of your business has to be this thing that's, it's not like it's always fun.
Yeah.
But to me, I think if you can find as much creativity in that arm of your business as you can in the other stuff,
Right.
it's going to help you so much in growing your business. Because really, a lot of the time we're spending more time marketing than we are making or doing or whatever our service is or product.
Yeah.
And that's the norm. That's what we can expect. So why not try and make that area of your business as creative and fun as possible? Because otherwise you've set up a creative business to, have a creative life, I guess. That's one of the reasons. And if you're spending most of the time doing marketing and you hate marketing and doing the content, it's like, it's sort of not enjoyable.
Yeah. And I mean, before we started recording, we were talking about accounts and things like that. There's enough boredom in small businesses, isn't there? Don't add any more boredom to a small business. Just make it fun.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I'm not about to say that emails can be fun. Like, answering emails,
Sometimes
it's a
they're
nightmare.
fun. Sometimes they're fun when you open them and you've got an order. That's the fun bit.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. If the subject of the email is fun, definitely. But yeah, managing my inbox is never going to be something that I'm like, can't wait to do that today. But I do think there is possibility in content.
Yeah.
If you think about content as like a creative project, I think there's so much more scope to make it more enjoyable.
Yeah, I love that. Actually make it part of your creative process, make it part of your creative business. And it's not just about getting the cakes out the door, it's about making content out of your create cakes.
Yeah, and making it pleasurable to look at. I hope that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
But if you've done something and you don't like what you've done, you don't feel good. But if you like what you're looking at, it's going to make you feel good.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I think that's exactly why with the course, that's why I called it Be the Art Director of Your Own Brand, because we are our own art directors in a sense of, especially if you're designing cakes, you're art directing cakes every day. It's very similar part of your brain, but it's just a different medium. That's how I see it. It's like another art form, but just in a different medium.
Perfect. Right. So when I did your course, I came away with, it was literally it wasn't 2 sheets of paper because they're not paper, they're actually on my screen, but that's how my head works. So it was like 2 sheets with my complete style guide. It was absolutely incredible. What is a content style guide? What are we looking for? I mean, obviously I don't need you to go into all of it because it took several weeks to get to where I got to.
Yeah.
So, but they're like certain elements that are really important for that style.
Yeah. So you might have seen visual style guides before. I think they pop up on Pinterest a lot. It's what you often get delivered if you work with either a styling professional or a brand stylist or a brand designer. You will get like a sort of visual summary of your brand, and it usually, depending on who you're working with, it will usually include like the fonts that you use and any like your logo and your colors. And I think often when we think about your brand and the style of your brand as a whole, often we think, oh, your logo and your colors
Yeah.
and your fonts.
Yeah.
But that's such a tiny,
Yeah.
tiny part of it. Like, it's a really, really small part of your brand, because actually it's everything that someone sees when they come across you online, which includes your content. So the visual style guide that we work with is, you do include, you know, your branding elements like your logos and that kind of thing, but you also include like what's your video genre, and like what's the style of video you do, and what are the keywords that evoke, like what 3 words, like descriptive words, can you use that will evoke your brand style. How do you want your ideal customers to feel when they come to your online presence, that kind of thing. So it's basically almost like a visual guide in a couple of pages, like you say, or your screen, and you can look and it's like, that sums up my brand.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it can have a little mood board on there as well, and that kind of thing. You just look at it and you're like, that is me, that's my brand.
And it's amazing actually, because I still work to it every time. I still refer to
Oh, I
it a
love that.
lot. And I do look at it and think, yeah, that's me in 2 pages. That is everything I do. And the other thing, though, that I found is that there were certain parts of the process that were quite deep thinking. It was
Yes.
you know, I thought, oh, this is going to be all fun, and it's not that it wasn't
Yeah.
fun, but it's, I mean, I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
this is going to be like airy and easy, but there were some things that I really had to think quite deep about getting the right things onto those pages to really reflect who I was and what my brand was.
Yeah, definitely. I think anything where you're looking at the clarity of what you're offering, I think often it's one of those things when you kind of unravel things and then
Yeah.
it starts to unravel and you're like, oh, there's more questions here. And it's, yeah, sometimes it can be, you know, it's almost like you dive a lot deeper than maybe you would think you'd need to.
Yeah.
But from that, actually, a lot of sort of gems come, and it means that, I guess, the clearer you are on your vision and why you have certain visual styles in your brand and in your content, when you know the reasons behind it, from that breeds confidence. And I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
it's so much easier to, again, it's part of that whole like showing up more and finding more fun in it. If you know why you're doing
Yeah.
it and you know all the reasons behind it, it's so much, it takes a lot of that fear and decision paralysis away, I think.
Yeah.
Because yeah, you don't have to constantly be like, oh, is this what, you
Yeah.
know why you're doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I first set up my part of Daisy Cake Hampshire, I had a chap come in and he like did my website for me. And when you look at my branding and everything, it's quite male
Oh, interesting.
orientated, whereas now I think I've been working with women and it's definitely coming across more me and more
Yeah.
feminine, which is what I want. So yeah, I can
Yeah.
see what you're saying is very important, and looking at it, loving it is
Yeah.
makes all the difference.
Yeah, definitely. You want to be able to have, when you put your business out there online, the more confident you feel about it,
Yeah.
the easier it is to shout about what you do, because I think we've all had those feelings sometimes where it feels like something's not quite gelling. And this is exactly what I've been going through at the
Yeah.
moment, where I know that there's like a difference between my messaging and what I'm actually doing, and I know I have to clarify that before I can really go pushing on to the next stage. And I think anytime there's little things that you're a bit unclear about, or it feels like it's not quite gelling, that almost comes across in your marketing.
Yeah.
So when you can get back and sort of really distill down what are the things that make you or your brand, it just helps. Yeah, everything else just feels a lot easier, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. I mean, it was sort of like a few weeks of deep thought.
Yeah.
But what came out of it at the end, you're right, so much more confident. And then every piece of content that I make, or every little bit of photography I do,
Yeah.
I know where I'm going with it. I don't have to second guess it. And
Yeah.
it's actually quite freeing in the end. It's like
Yeah.
6 to 8 weeks of deep thought for a lot more freedom.
Yeah, I really remember you had a real breakthrough in your photography style.
Yeah.
When I think there was a point when you were sort of really trying to work out how to how to convey certain messages, and you came across a style. I think there was one where you wrote something in flour or something, and I remember it being like, yes, it's a breakthrough. It's so good.
I'm here. I've arrived.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
This
you,
is
so good.
me.
so you have your course coming up soon. You're going to relaunch that
Yes.
course, aren't you? Tell us about that.
Yes. So in May, I don't actually have the dates yet
Do you
because I
know
was
what?
just saying before we came on.
When
I
we
need
agreed,
to like
when
put
we
the
agreed this
dates.
episode, I didn't know that you were just about to relaunch. So this is just perfect timing.
Oh, well, perfect. Yeah, it's perfect timing. Yes. Yeah. So it will be mid-May sometime, and it will run in mostly in June. So I'll also do, whenever I launch things, I always do like a fun free challenge as
Yeah.
well before, just to like, have some fun as well as, give people a bit of a taste of what the course is like. But yeah, it is a group training. So you're sort of going along the process with lots of other people in the same boat. And yeah, the main topics we covered, I mean, we've sort of talked about it anyway, really, but there's four different modules. Each one covers a different part of your visual style. So starts with the deep thinking bit, like you're saying, which is, maybe a little bit more existential, but it's like diving into visual research and like working out those things that make you you. And actually that work kind of carries on throughout. Like it keeps developing, but it's a lot of like looking into your visual inspiration, which is very fun. And then we cover photos and photo styling, and lighting and props and all that kind of thing, and video. And then we go into sort of graphics and color psychology and stuff like that as well. So yeah, it's a real sort of visual mix of fun stuff. But the main aim at the end is so that you can come away feeling like really clear, really confident, and like you're ready to step into that role as art director in your business.
Definitely.
So yeah, it's so fun. I love it.
It was. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you.
And now, just for another little bit of fun, if you could do a video or a piece of content for any brand, who would it be and why?
Oh, yes, that's a great question. That is very fun. I feel like it would be maybe like a paper brand. Like maybe this is really like paper nerd, but maybe someone like GF Smith who do like the amazing papers. Like if I could do like a paper stop motion animation for them, I would
Wow.
love that. Like they're my favorite ones to do. If I could do more, I really want to try and do more actual content creation myself for brands, because I think that's what I love getting a brief and then being able to design. I guess it's the same with cake making, isn't it? Like the feeling of having a brief and working to that brief is so fun to me. So yeah.
The whole brief thing is quite. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? I like working to a brief, but then being able to put my own spin on it. If someone says to me,
Same.
"Do what you want," I'm
Oh,
not.
that's just heaven.
Yeah.
That's
really.
heaven.
Oh, I hate.
Oh, you
it.
prefer that, Sammy?
Yeah. I like
So
them to go, I want something like this.
Yeah.
Do your thing.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh yeah, unless it's a subject that I hate.
Yeah.
then I'll get a blockage. But I love just being thrown in.
Oh, see, I like a little bit of restriction that I can maneuver within, but right.
I'm the same.
So is there anything else that we haven't covered today that you would like? Sorry, I've just thrown this in. I realise I haven't put that on a piece of paper.
It's okay.
Is there anything that you'd like to say that we haven't covered today?
I feel like the main thing with any of this stuff is that we need to take our perfectionist hat off. And I know I've just talked for ages about like being clear and, stepping into your art director role. But I think the main thing to know is that it never feels done. I think that's one of the things that it took me ages to learn, that if you wait until everything is perfect and you've got your brand exactly how you want it and you've got your visual style completely nailed down before you start posting anything, you'll just be waiting forever. So I think there's lots of things we can do to build our skills and also, get more clear on what we're doing and refine. It has to kind of also be a bit of practicing in public. Like we kind of have to refine as we go rather than completely tie everything in a really, really neat bow and then go. It's much easier to learn as you go. So I think where possible, usually whenever people come to me with, you know, problems around content, it's the same with Pinterest as well. The main issue that they need to get around is that they're either overthinking or stuck in perfectionism. So I
Right.
think they're the two. That's the barrier, that if you can move through that barrier, that will help so much.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, and I think, I mean, talking as like podcasters, I know you and Ellie have said on your podcast before, you're like, please don't go and listen to the early episodes.
Yeah.
I feel the same. Yeah, and it's a similar thing, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like that everyone's learning all the time, and you will get
and
better.
evolving.
Yeah, you will get better, and
Yeah.
you're always better the next day than you were the day before, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And there's something about doing that in public, and, you know, it's very hard to practice stuff in private. There is something to be said for keeping some things to yourself just for your own enjoyment. But I think with stuff like content, it's so hard to get perfect at it before you're posting, because
Yeah.
you just don't have the feedback and you don't learn what's working. So yeah, it definitely has to be a bit of trial and error, and you know, putting things out there.
Perfect.
I'm enjoying listening. So lastly, so our listeners can find you, what are your socials, website, and what do you have coming up? Well, we've talked about what you've got coming up, haven't we?
You know what I've got coming up. Yes, so I'm basically Rachel Emma Waring everywhere. Waring is Waring. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest. My website is rachelemmawaring.com. That's it basically. You can find usually what I'm up to in all of those places.
And you, of course, are one half of the Business Proposal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, Ellie. I always forget the podcast. You can also listen to the Business Proposal podcast.
And also, the Business Proposal have got an amazing bundle out at the moment.
Yes, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great bundle. So go and
Yeah.
check out the Business Proposal bundle, because I
think it's £29, isn't it?
Yeah. And ever since we've done it, we've actually been like, I can't believe we set it at £29, because it is, honestly, there's
I was
genuinely
reading
£800 worth of stuff in there.
Yeah. I have already
Phenomenal.
purchased it, but there you go. I'm working my way through bit by bit. So thank you.
Have you got your tracker?
I've got the tracker and I'm filling it all in.
Very good.
Nicely
Ellie
done on
will be
Notion.
pleased.
Thank you so much for coming to chat to us, Rachel, today.
Thank
it's been a
you.
bit of a mission getting you here, but we've got you in the end.
We got here. It's
here
great.
And I'm so pleased we managed to get this episode out before you launch Be the Art Director of your brand. So that's
perfect timing.
So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Right, now you can.
I love Rachel.
Oh, she's just so lovely. And she's not just so lovely, she's just like so enthusiastic and so knowledgable.
Yeah. I love listening to her podcast as well.
Yeah.
Well, their podcast.
Yeah. No, and they've just had like a month off, and I'm like, oh, when are they coming back? But they're back. It's good. They're back.
They're back.
Yeah, it's a good podcast. She's a lovely lady.
Yeah.
And she's very good at what she does.
Yeah, very good.
Very
exceptional. It's been a pleasure watching her journey as well.
Yes. Yeah. Did you know her when she did her wedding styling?
I can't remember.
I think I was just like at the end of that part of her
Yeah.
journey that I started watching, or sort of like knowing who she was, because the Business Proposal was all about wedding businesses, and so I started listening to it sort of like a little while ago, and I think she was still a wedding stylist at that point.
I think I'm pretty sure I started listening around the time of COVID.
Okay,
that's when I really discovered podcasts.
Yeah.
But
podcasts
you'd been on them before that, because you were always going, have you listened to this? And I'd be,
No.
Podcast? What's a podcast?
People talking. I don't listen to that. People talking. But yeah. Oh, right. So
Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. It feels like I haven't done this for a long time, but product of the week, product of the week. I'm funking it up today. Product of the week. Yeah.
Oh, and a nice little bit at the end.
Yeah. Okay. Shall I go first?
Yeah, you go first. I'm just trying to turn my iPad on so I can find out where my stuff is that I need to do. You carry on.
So, back in 2010, goes back through the mist of time. At Cake International,
Right.
I think it was my first ever Cake International that I'd been to. I bought a tiny mini Lazy Susan turntable.
Did you?
Yes. So it's about 4 inches, a little round, tiny little thing. And I use it when I'm decorating a small cake in my workspace. It takes quite a lot
So I'm just going to shut
of
the window
weight.
because it's raining really hard.
Okay, you do that.
Yeah, go on. Yes.
Um,
So it's like 4 inches.
yeah, it's a little tiny, and it's just flat. It's like almost like a little saucer.
Is it like a cookie one?
Yeah, you can put cookies on it.
Okay.
I've put actual cakes on cake boards on it.
Oh, okay.
And I love it. And I used it the other day, and I thought, oh, I have to make this product of the week. So I went on because I like to research my products and check them out. But on researching this product, I found something way better. That I don't think you can even get my product now.
Right. Okay.
So the sugar paste. I can't. I've written this down. It's the sugar paste mini non-slip turntable. Recommended retail price is $8.99. It holds up to 55 kilograms.
No!
It rotates 360 degrees. It's approximately 10 centimeters in diameter,
Which is about 4 inches.
Yeah. It's oven safe up to 240 degrees.
Ovens? What are you
Why
putting?
I've
Why are you
written
putting a turntable in the oven?
Yeah, that's exactly what I've written. Then why would you put it in the oven? But I haven't ordered one yet because I'm like, well, I've still got my other one and I use it,
Yeah.
sometimes I don't use it and sometimes
Yeah,
I
but
do.
can you put yours in the oven?
No, definitely not. It's like that hard, brittle plastic. It would just melt and disappear into a blob. So yeah, that is a mini non-slip turntable.
How tall is it?
It's only about an inch.
So things
Inch and
can't
a half.
fall off on the side?
If you put a mega big cake on it,
Yeah.
it does have a wobble on it.
Right.
But if you're doing a small cake, like a little 6-inch cake, and if, like me, I'm quite messy. I've got a minimal amount of space around me. It fits in perfectly. Because I used to have the tilt at the same time at that same Cake International. I bought a tilting turntable.
I hate those tilting ones.
I got rid of mine because
Yeah.
my cakes would fall off.
Yeah, because you'd have it on a tilt.
Yeah.
And then as you turned it, the cake could just slip off the back.
Yeah.
Or it would tilt more than you. Oh, yeah.
I think you have to be one of those really neat, precise people to use one of those.
Yeah.
But the little tiny turntable, I love it.
And you can't, because the other one that I used to use the IKEA one a lot.
I've got one. I've got one of those now. Yeah,
but things disappear underneath it.
Yes. Oh my god, I hate that. I hate that.
And it's like, where has my Dresden tool gone?
Yeah,
and it's just slipped underneath it. But I suppose with like a teeny tiny one, nothing's slipping underneath.
No. And it's lovely and portable as well. So
yes, so you can actually put it in your emergency kit to take with you.
Yeah.
Genius.
I know. And the one I've got doesn't look very professional, but the new updated one does. I highly recommend it.
I do still want to know who's putting a turntable in the oven though. What are you doing in the oven that needs a turntable?
Yeah.
I understand putting one in the fridge because if it's a really hot day and you're working in the fridge as such.
Yeah.
Not enough.
In the oven. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Up to 240 degrees. So it's not like a cold oven either. It's a bloody hot oven.
ridiculous. Maybe we should write to them and go, why? Just
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
Just because. Maybe they're saying that in a hot country, this is going to work in a hot country.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe some people like to work in an oven. Maybe it's for, I don't know. Because, macarons?
Yeah.
Nah.
I mean, I used to work, when I worked at Freed, the point shoemakers, we had a walk-in oven because they used to bake the shoes to make shoes hard.
Yeah.
The toes are made out of flour and water paste, and they used to put like racks of shoes in an oven, and you could walk into the oven.
Yeah.
But
No
I wouldn't want to work in
turntables.
there. You put all the shoes in there, then you shut the door, and then you turned it on. You didn't work in it. You know what I
No.
mean?
Oh my God, that'd be ideal scene for a murder. He was
Yes.
baked in the ballet shoe oven.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a whole new Cluedo episode.
Mm.
Right, so mine, I'm going back to what we've just been chatting about with Rachel, actually, and I'm going to go for the business proposal bundle.
Really?
Because I have bought the business proposal. Now, it's
Oh
only
my God.
available till...
Not long, is it?
No. Do you know what? Maybe I can't say it, actually.
Will it have run out by the time
Yes.
you've done it? Oh no!
Okay, right. I'm going to scrapple that. Because it's only available to the 30th of April.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to scrap that. Okay, right. So I'm going to go back to what we were just chatting with Rachel. And I know I have done this as a product of the week before, just after I did it, but I'm going to do it again because I think it's worth it. And that is her course.
Yeah.
Be the art director of your own brand. And I know I did this last year after I did the course, but it's so good. It is so good.
And it follows through on what we've done on the podcast today, talking
Yeah.
about content creator. So
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect product of the week.
And it's such a good course. I came away with a complete style guide for my brand and clarity in my head why I'm doing it. Not just like, these are some pretty colours.
Yeah.
This is a pretty font. Off you go.
Yeah.
And like you said, with your brand, you don't necessarily feel your brand in your heart because it's like...
No, it's not what I said I wanted. But now I'm definitely getting that.
Yeah, and you feel a bit more oomph when you're putting stuff out, and so
actually, I did always feel a little bit embarrassed because people would go, "Oh," and I'd be like, "Don't my stuff."
Don't look like that. But so usually ahead of Rachel's courses, she'll do like a 3 or 4 day workshopy type thing. I would recommend, if you can't afford the course, and she does things on the courses, she usually does like payment plans, like over 6 months, over 3 months, so you don't have to pay for it all in one go. But if you still cannot afford that investment, at least look out for her pre-workshop, because even that will help. That will help you get a bit of clarity in what you're doing. And sign up to her newsletter, and then she'll probably tell you in the newsletter when that's coming, because it really, just even the freebie, you'll learn so much and you'll feel so much better. So that's my product.
What did I do? I bought a course off them, a Trello course.
Yes, the Trello course. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think she does Trello anymore either. I think they use Notion.
Oh.
Yeah. I've used Notion. I have a Notion cake planner that people can purchase.
Oh wow!
Yeah, maybe I'll give you the link to it.
Have you said it? Have you mentioned it before? And I've not. Oh yes, I know. Yes, Notion.
So Notion is very similar to Trello.
Yeah.
But you can work down the page rather than just Trello. You work on lists going across the page.
Yeah.
So Notion, you can work down the page. And so the cake planner that I did, you put all your cakes in at the top with the date order, and then it proliferates it down into a calendar. And then from that calendar, it will proliferate down into that week or that couple of weeks. And you can put in what you need to make, what you need to bake, what boards and boxes you need. And I did a little video that walks you through how to use it as well. And it's a mere £5 on our website.
Oh, so I've just written down on one of my many Post-it notes, but I love using. I love post-it notes. And when I get 5 minutes, I will be looking at that because that really sounds like my cup of tea.
Yeah, it's. I did it because I know that that's the sort of thing that I
Yeah,
use, and
yeah,
I didn't use it in my business at the time, but it's the sort of thing that if I'd had it, do you know what? You know when we used to sit down on a Tuesday morning and we used
yes,
to work it all out. It's
yeah,
exactly that, but on a Notion board. You know,
yeah,
you go through your orders. Those
mm,
orders you put onto a calendar. That calendar you then it goes into like a
yeah,
production list, and yeah, and say
yeah,
near £5 on our website if you
yeah.
purchase it.
Isn't it funny how like we talk about evolving all the time, but this is kind of like another evolvement because um I have Canva and I've always gone, oh, I don't really like Canva. I don't understand it.
Love Canva.
But the other day I sat down and I made myself concentrate on it,
Yeah.
and it was quite easy.
I use Canva.
Yeah,
I've
you
actually got the
do.
pro version of Canva. I paid for the pro
Well,
version.
I have now as
Yeah.
well.
Because and it's so good. And the pro version you can have like I did the pro version after I did Rachel's course
Hmm.
because you can have a little brand section. You can have all your brand
Yeah,
identity in it
that's
with all your
right.
colours
Yeah.
and the fonts that you use,
Mm,
and it's there just at the like your fingertips all the time.
mm.
And I used to do graphic design. That's what I used to do
Yeah,
a lot of the time. I love Canva. I think Canva
yeah.
is very underrated.
Mm,
Yeah. Go use Canva. Go use Notion.
yeah.
Make all
And
these things
Trello.
work for you.
If,
Yeah, and
but
Trello.
yeah, dip your toe in lots of things, find out what you
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and then
And
go
like
go
we
to
were saying
play.
in the episode with Rachel, that being a small business is really hard work. And it's,
Yeah.
making cakes is like 20% of what we do. At
Mm,
least make the rest of it easy for yourself.
yeah.
you know.
And enjoyable,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it does make a difference. I don't know who I was talking to yesterday. Oh, I've had so many friends around lately. My
Oh,
social
get
life has
you.
just been, but that we were talking about the fact that there's nothing worse. Oh no, it's a couple of teachers I know. They were saying one of their teachers comes in every day and goes, "Ugh, back here again," and they were like, "What is the point of being a teacher if you
Yeah.
don't like what you're
If you
doing?"
yeah, if you're not
Yeah,
enjoying it.
yeah, and
And
we're
I think
just the
that with any
same.
job. Yeah, with any job. I know we would all rather be sat on a beach somewhere, but you know what? I think I'd get bored sitting on a beach all
Yeah.
day, every
Oh
day.
God, yeah. I'd be the person going, "Come on, let's do something."
Let's make cakes.
Yeah, sandcastle cakes.
But yeah, you've got to enjoy your life. You're not on this earth long enough. You've got to
No,
enjoy what
that's
you're doing.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Happiness is right in front of you. You
Oh,
just have to take notice of it.
oh, get you. You are on fire.
Yeah.
Right, okay. On that
Jolly note.
philosophical note,
Yeah.
we'll be off.
Okay. Bye 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 bye.